So my wow moment, again, came a little bit by accident, but I have a huge passion for psychology and for neuroscience. And I discovered the thing I was really passionate about by talking to my friends, and it sort of kept coming up as the thing I just wanted to talk about all the time. And previously I'd never thought about that as necessarily being my passion. It was just something I found interesting and wanted to talk about a lot. And it wasn't until I sort of entered the Eureka competition and started doing some more research about it that when I realised I was putting more effort into that than I was into studying, that's when it became apparent that it was sort of my passion. And so my wow moment came when I was speaking to a friend about a way to sort of improve people's capability to work and to not have to rely on drugs to sort of focus and things like that. And it came out of maybe we could adapt people's brains themselves rather than giving them drugs to do so.
My wow moment started a bit earlier than the Eureka Symposium. I was doing field work in the Nelson Lakes Regional Park in the South Island, and they have really, really high densities of wasps, up to 320 per square metre, so higher than anywhere else in the world. And you can't actually walk through this really beautiful area without constantly being harassed by these really aggressive, nasty European wasps. And so I came back and I started reading more about invasive species, and it's not just wasps. If the Queensland fruit fly were to establish in New Zealand, our horticultural industry is going to be hugely affected. If we have foot and mouth disease established here again, our livestock industry is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. The invasive fire ant, it's over $300 million. So this is a massive issue, not just in New Zealand, globally as well. In the States, it's around 120 billion per year. And so I thought, well, how can I relate this back to New Zealand? And obviously I can't deal with everything. But in the case of wasps, I carried on doing this sort of research, and I thought it'd be really interesting to try and make something as prosaic as a wasp interesting to a group of people, and then broaden that out to invasive species in general, and then tie it into how New Zealanders feel about their environment.
So I suppose the big difference is that creativity, a creative idea is a brand new one. It's come out of, it's that whole origins of Eureka. It's thinking about things in a different way than what anyone else has ever thought about them before. And innovation has elements of that, but it's taking an existing idea or an existing method and doing it in a new way, looking at something in a new way rather than an entirely new idea.
It's blue skies thinking. So Albert Einstein, when he was sitting in the patent laboratory in Germany and putting through patents, was also working on something that no one else had really thought about to that degree before. And when he published his seminal paper, it was completely beyond what anyone else had done at that point. So it was completely blue skies research. Whereas innovation is taking already existing idea and then maybe improving upon it in some way or adapting it for a different sort of purpose.
To begin, 3 quotes, words that encapsulate themes I will examine in my talk today. New Zealand is the nearest approach to life on another planet, a completely different experiment in evolution from the rest of the world. The third quote refers to what Sir Paul called our Apollo mission, his dream of a pest-free New Zealand, making our country a place where talent wants to live.
Right now, as you listen to me, something inside of you is bouncing up and down up to 10,000 times every second. What is this? I'm talking about something inside your ears, something which enables you to hear. Cochlear hair cells. These tiny finger-like projections line the cochlea of your inner ear.
It's very easy to classify the ages of human technology in terms of the materials that formed a foundation, from stone, bronze, iron, oil, coal, electrons, silicon. The largest step that we've made in terms of welfare for our people and as a society, the elimination of disease, has been the adoption of fossil fuels in the Industrial Revolution. However, this has left us with a legacy of climate change and pollution that we're not too excited to leave for our children.
Imagine a world where you can go from being a struggling, unemployed author with a bad case of writer's block to finishing your book in 4 days and still having the time and energy left over at the end to learn to play the piano, learn a new language, and make it big on the stock market.
Good afternoon. I'm Sebastian Helen Clark, a 15-year-old Scots College student. Now, that's my day job. I'm also a technology services exporter, whose software products have been used in over 100 countries. My products, Quicksand, Broomstick, iCloud Drive, and MacDrop Any, harness the power of the cloud to make life easier.
Something more valuable than oil or gold. Something wars are fought over. Something economies are staked upon. And something that we require for life itself. Who'd have thought it would be something as basic as fresh water? And now we're running out.
Kia ora. Think, how would you measure and define intelligence? IQ tests are what we have typically used to measure intelligence. They were designed to see who would succeed in the education system. But modern IQ tests contain puzzles where you must create a logical sequence, and they don't necessarily measure creativity, wisdom, musical ability, or social intelligence.
Today, we've heard a lot about industry-driven science. But sometimes people do science just for the sake of it. I imagine that's why Santiago Cajal studied the brain, to catch a glimpse at the workings of consciousness. Cajal showed that the brain is much more than just a mushroomy lump. It is a densely packed forest of electrical trees.
In 1990, the year before I was born, the Voyager 1 space probe did something remarkable. 6 billion kilometers from Earth, our envoy to the stars turned around its onboard camera and took photos, 60 of them. When we received them, there, in one frame, 1 pixel, the faintest glimmer of blue light in the darkness. This is us seen from 6 billion kilometers, and it's quite possibly the most famous picture ever taken of the Earth. Immortalized in history, it's known as the pale blue dot.